Welcome to GRN, the Growth and Resilience Network. Every episode brings you targeted stories and strategies for professional and personal growth and resilience. I'm Steve Piscatelli. I'm your host, coming to you from my world headquarters here in Atlantic Beach, Florida. Today's episode takes a look at personal fitness, but as my guest is going to tell us and dig in, it's really life fitness. The topic can encompass quite a bit: emotional, social, spiritual, intellectual, and or a physical dimension. And it's difficult, if not impossible, to separate our various dimensions of life. Today, though, we're going to drill down on that physical fitness dimension, life fitness dimension. Not so much about what exercises to do in the gym, but rather how to stay motivated, how to keep your mind in the game to do those exercises in the gym or on the street or on the beach, in your garage, backyard, living room, wherever it might be. And, you know, we can think of the reasons, and they almost seem obvious for physical fitness, for life fitness. And why is physical conditioning such a chore for so many of us? Why do so many of us break our so-called New Year's resolutions? Well, in the studio today to help us sort through this is someone who I know intimately from the gym, who has helped me bounce back from a second shoulder surgery. His name is Charles Bailey. He is a personal trainer. He was born and raised in Antigua, the West Indies. He's a single dad whose son is now in college. He spent 11 years in the United States Navy, where, among other things, he got involved in fitness training. Charles has been a personal fitness trainer for nearly 30 years. He has a certification from NFPT. He's completed numerous national powerlifting competitions. Let me give you some of his impressive weights. These are amazing. His squat best number, 1,102 pounds. His deadlift, 782. Bench press, 715. I mean, that's more than four of me. That's amazing. His biggest total in one competition, total lifted for the entire competition, 2,555 pounds. Yikes. Today we're not going to focus, though, on powerlifting, because probably most of us listening to this don't have a desire to be a competitive powerlifter. What you probably share, though, is the desire to be in either good shape, better shape, best shape that you can work yourselves into. And while he can still compete and train powerlifters, I've come to know Charles, as I've said, as a trainer for the common person, you and me. He was instrumental, again, in helping me gain full mobility and functionality following a second shoulder surgery. So I've asked Charles to focus on the discipline of fitness training. You know, the late Yogi Berra reportedly said that baseball was 90% mental and the other half was physical. I hope our math will be a little better than that. But what I've learned from Charles is that our fitness begins with our mental discipline. Whether it's choosing the correct trainer, finding the routines that work for us, or following an appropriate nutrition plan, discipline is vital. So let's welcome to the GRN studio Mr. Charles Bailey. Charles, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
This is fun. All right, we're going to set a little context first here. Briefly, your story.
Well, my story basically, well, if I go back, it started basically with my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother raised about 9 kids because she lost her ability to walk from her knees down at the age of about 5.
Wow.
Yeah, she married my grandfather. She ended up with 9 kids, and 7 of them survived. One of which was my mother, of course, because I'm here, right? So those are my inspirations. The idea that the word can't exist really doesn't apply, because those are my examples.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, I was born in Antigua. You know, my mom and dad went to the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix specifically, and from there, you know, I went to live with them because I grew up for 6 years with my grandparents, and then from there, you know, I went to high school, joined the Navy. Spent some time overseas, stuff like that, came back here and ended up in Jacksonville. You know, and about like, I want to say once I got out of the Navy, I just, you know, took about a year off. And as I was working out in the gym, a lady came up to me and asked me if I could train her for a competition. I didn't want to because I just wanted to work out. So I took her under my wing, trained her. She ended up winning like 5 national competitions. And then from there, basically, I just kind of fell into personal training. Something I did because as a hobby ended up being my profession. So that's basically my story.
Got a passion for it.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I like seeing the results. As long as I've been doing it, it always surprises me when it happens. It amazes me that someone actually follows the instructions.
Yeah, we've talked about that during some of our sessions where I listen in when I see trainers with other folks in the gym, and it's always amazing to me when the people that are paying the trainer will say, do I really have to do that today?
Exactly.
No, just send me the check. I'll stay home.
That would be nice.
Okay, let's stay with the big picture, the context. What's your philosophy on fitness training?
My philosophy is more of educating and implementing what I tell people. Like, the foundation is always this. The resistance to physical fitness training, or I should say life training, is that people put it in context. It's like, if you mention the word diet, all of a sudden it's this horror show. It's like, you mean I have to, like, eat this bland food and do that? What people tend to forget is, whatever you're putting in your mouth in the present moment, that is your diet. So I take it from that point. Okay, let's see how bad your diet is. And from that point, we can start cleaning it up. Because telling someone to go jump off a cliff is very hard. Telling them to go down a low slope slowly is so much easier. All right, you're eating fried chicken. Let's start baking it. All right, or grilling it, doing that. Okay, and 6 months down the road, hey, how about we take the skin off? Right? And then that's another step. You know, okay, I still feel bloated, Charles. Well, what are you eating? Well, I'm eating this, I'm eating that. I went out to the restaurant a couple times. I said, okay, how many times do you go to the restaurant? Well, you know, we eat out like, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I said, well, how about we go 2 times a week? And once people start seeing some results, it's easier to implement the discipline factor because there's a cause and effect. Once they see the cause and effect, it's easier, especially with women. Guys are easy, but women are harder because no matter what you tell them, the scale overrules everything. Like, for instance, if I tell a person, if I say, what are you eating? What's your diet like? Start with the first thing in the morning. Invariably, it'd be like, well, I don't eat anything till 11 o'clock, and then I don't eat lunch, and then I'll eat dinner. And everyone knows, or everyone should know, lack of food, your body starves. As soon as you put food in, it stores it as fat because it's in a starvation mode. And I say, every single time, okay, I'm going to give you 6 meals a day. It's the same amount of calories, right? Your body's starving right now. For 4 weeks, you might gain weight. But past that 4 weeks, it'll go in reverse because your body now is satisfied that you're feeding it. It's not in a survival mode anymore.
Gotcha.
2 weeks into the program, I've gained 4 pounds. Yes, we talked about this. Panic, hysteria sets in.
Because of the scale.
Yeah, so I have to convince them, trust me, if you don't lose weight, I'll give you your money back. All right? Sure enough. 4 weeks later, the weight starts dropping off. And then they have my confidence.
And the discipline.
Yes,
that's where you're
the
saying.
discipline starts jumping in. So now they're more likely to stick with the program because there's a result factor to it. But don't get me wrong. Even though that result starts showing up, the scale still rules. So it's the discipline between the scale. So I have to counteract that every time with some other form of reinforcement. That's what people need to do. Okay, there's 2 ways. Okay, you've gained weight, but is your pants looser? Is the skirt looser? Or you wearing smaller size clothes? You may weigh heavier, but you might also be smaller because the muscle weighs more than fat. One question I always ask, and you'll be amazed at the answer. If you can wear size 1 and weigh 300 pounds, would that be a problem? I don't want to weigh 300 pounds. Did you hear the size 1 part? But I don't want to weigh 300 pounds. There's no way around that.
It's
a mental approach to it.
And when you were talking, one of the things I was thinking about, you could go in and you can work with a trainer once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And obviously there's a financial cost with that. I'm hearing, though, with some folks who might have issues with discipline, those 3 times a week, 3 times touching base with the trainer saying, forget about the 4 pounds right now, might be something to consider up front.
You keep them on the wagon now. You can keep them on the wagon that way.
Exactly.
I've come to the point sometimes I try to make it more affordable for those people that struggle more. Okay, for the same price, I just give you maybe a couple more visits. So in the long run, it comes out cheaper. And that also works on a mental approach to it. Okay, they only cost this much, but it's stressing me out so much, it's worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, for instance, I have a client at this moment, and she came in today, and she said, I can't believe it, I gained 4 pounds. Okay, with a woman, and she's a female client, so there's a couple of factors in there. Either it's that time, which is acceptable, it's going to fluctuate up or down, or she went out, and I had this discussion with her. Too much sodium will maintain water weight. 1 pound of salt holds 10 pounds of water. So in that concept, if you go to a sushi bar and you ate off the hibachi or whatever, there's tons of soy salt there. And if you drink fluids, for a couple of days, you're going to accumulate weight. It's not real weight because you can't gain 2 pounds since yesterday. The amount of calories you would have to consume would be ridiculous. It would be 7,000 calories extra over what your body burns.
Right.
So mental approach, I have to go in, talking about the multiple visits per week.
Gotcha.
I pull out my calipers, I do the pinch test, I do the weight, and then I send her back her body fat. Their body fat hasn't changed, and if it has, we go to the thickness of the millimeters that we measured before, and if it's thicker, most of it's water. So,
go back to one thing that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. So I come in, I weigh myself, and I'm 2 pounds heavier than I was yesterday.
Yeah, it all depends on what you
And then I say, well, it's because I had a bunch of beer last night, went out to listen to some music, and you're saying you had a lot of beer then if you gained 2 pounds.
You had a beer, a lot of French fries.
Yeah. 7,000 calories.
Because
worth.
beer exits you. But French fries, there's no way you can gain 2 pounds since last night. It's physically impossible.
Interesting.
You just can't do it. And if you ate that much, basically you'd have to go on a toilet.
Yeah.
It just doesn't convert that fast.
All right, let's consider this. A person approaches you, kind of a 30,000-foot view here, and says, listen, I got a New Year's resolution. I want to be in better shape. You, Charles Bailey, the trainer, what would you consider to be the top 3 strategies for a smart and healthy fitness plan to have sustainability for the person coming to you?
Well, the program had to be set up for ease of use, number one.
Ease of use.
Ease of use. That means just like you set up a program that he can use in the gym, at home, or if he's away. You set up a multiple strategy. Okay, there's weightlifting, there's cardio, the cardio component, which you can knock out with one kind of mentality. If you put an anaerobic program together, which is basically this, it incorporates increasing your heart rate, but also working bigger muscles, such as lunging, jumping jacks, jump squats, squat thrusts, which are often referred to as burpees.
Yes.
Yeah, mountain climbers, which is where you're in a push-up position with your hand on the box and you're alternating your legs back and forth. All those big body parts increases your heart rate. Side squats, all that stuff.
Something you could potentially do in a hotel room
anywhere.
if you're traveling.
You can do it on the sidewalk, you can do it on the beach, you can do it in a bathroom. I mean, anywhere. You can do all those things, right? So now you're in a gym, so you want to, if you're in a gym, the other component, phase 1 would be the simple stuff. It's something you can do anywhere, especially if you're traveling. And then if you're more of a gym guy, it would be like an ordinary guy, something they can maintain wouldn't be something that's structured towards a bodybuilder. It'd be mostly what I call looking for the Tarzan look and overall approach. It would be heavy enough to where it's effective, but light enough to where it's not damaging.
I've been
that
there.
stuff. And then there's the other components, the stretching part. And then there's more than 3, actually. Because the stretching comes along. To make all that work, the muscle has to be loose and flexible. That's a healthy muscle. A tight, hard, everybody says they want a hard body. You actually really don't. You want a supple body. If you're standing there relaxed, I should be able to poke my finger and poke it. It should be firm, but not rigid. Right? The other component that's most important is the nutrition aspect of it. And like we spoke about earlier, not too rigid, because most people can't go from really lax to totally rigid. Like, if you're eating 2, let's just go to 3. Let's see how that works, right? If you're eating 3 now and it's working, then let's go to 4. If your workout program is working right and every component's clicking, you will eventually end up at a 6-meal day, 5 to 6 meal day. That's optimum. Your body wants to burn. It's like a car with 8 cylinders and only 3 are working when you walked in a mechanic shop, and he put 2 more in, the car works a little bit better. He put 6 in, car works a little bit better. He puts all new ones in. All of a sudden, whoa, I got great gas mileage. Is that concept. It's a machine. And what people don't realize is if you increase muscle mass on the body, it's more efficient. Once you lay off, the body is lazy. It will get rid of that excess muscle because it doesn't want to work with all that weight. The body wants to be lighter. So anytime you stop putting stress on the body, it starts relaxing and the muscle goes away to some degree. Usually within 7 to 10 days, you start losing appreciable size.
Interesting. If someone wants to choose a trainer, somebody, and I've used trainers, and you're the latest one that I've been using now for almost a half a year now, last 6 months. So what is it that you would recommend people look for in a trainer? Do they go audition them? Do they look up?
Yes, which is funny that you mentioned that. Okay, when I first got into personal training, all the fitness magazines, all the people on TV, how you pick a trainer is you join a gym, and for a month, you evaluate what they're doing with other clients and see what they're doing. Right? People nowadays, they just go and they look at a price and they go like, okay, I'll train with you. Okay, a $25 trainer is not the same as a $60 trainer. Now, a $60 trainer sometimes is not as good as a $25 trainer.
Gotcha.
The price has nothing to do with it. It's knowledge. For instance, when you walked in, and you were doing this, you were doing that, and you said, yeah, we want to set up a session, let's get together. The first thing I did for the first couple of sessions is I eyeballed you. I looked at you do a bunch of things, and I go, okay, that's mechanically wrong, that's mechanically wrong, that's mechanically wrong. You're putting too much weight on that leg, you're supporting your body on this one side. They have to be adept to all these things, because it's not just, to do a bicep curl, it's not just an arm exercise. It's a body stability, and the whole body works with it, even though it's not moving. So knowledge of what you're doing. For instance, it's hard nowadays. They used to have a sheet that you could actually ask. You should have some knowledge of body mechanics, how to articulate the muscle.
The trainer should.
Yes. Should have some knowledge. People should do research, too. They should see what a trainer should know. A lot of people get caught up on big certifications, and trainers that use a lot of words would have medical concepts to them, not being able to apply those medical concepts to them either. If you're not mechanically inclined to what the body can do and how it articulates and how it moves, then you're not going to successfully train someone.
Right.
I guarantee you today you can walk in most gyms and you could see a person curling and their body is doing the wave dance and the trainer's standing right next to them just counting reps. Now you have your counters. The ability to talk to a client and have a conversation while still keeping an eye on him is a really hard skill to get.
And that attention is so important.
Yeah. Even when you're not paying attention, a good trainer is still paying attention. I can walk around and talk to this guy over there, and I'll go like, you need to tighten up your back. Your feet is not stabilizing your feet. Because I already know you. I've trained with you like a couple times.
Right.
I know what your tendencies are. So every time you come in, I'm looking at those things.
Right. Yeah, and that is, it's interesting, too. I think sometimes people look at trainers in a gym and they have a stereotype too. So someone who doesn't know Charles would look at Charles, could very possibly look at Charles and say, I don't want to be a power lifter.
He's just a meathead.
Yeah, why do I want to work with him? He's, I'm not going to lift 700 pounds.
When my background is mostly with females.
Yeah. and people like me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. You watch the trainer and you pay attention.
Right.
And Charles is one of these folks. If you look at him, and I'll post some photos of this on the YouTube feed for this podcast, and you'll see him. This guy's a mountain. So you look at him and you might say, well, that's not for me. Well, you got to go deeper than that. Right. You have to go. All right, so now I've chosen the trainer. I come in. I've got my check for that first session. I paid for the first session.
Yes.
As the trainee, what should I be looking for in that first session?
The first session, you should look for a total evaluation. Whether or not, say you came in and you wanted to work with your shoulder. Okay, there's a reason why your shoulder got messed up, obviously. Maybe not directly, but it was coming. Like the first thing I noticed when you came with your shoulder and we tried to work your shoulder, you were only activating one side of your body, not the other. You're basically standing on one leg. So basically you're forcing one side of your body to do so much work, there was danger going to happen there sooner or later. Right? So the whole posture should be checked out. It should be like, okay, there's two things why you probably had shoulder problem. It's incorrect performance of the exercise, right? Poor stability when doing the exercise, and probably not proper nutrition to grow those muscles as you did those exercises. You know, all those things, they all come into play, because the key to going to the gym is, and it's the reason why people say 80% of it's nutrition, you go in for an hour, and you're basically in the gym creating damage. You're not fixing anything in the gym. You're breaking stuff down, right? When you go out, all those meals are putting in fuel, basically the car concept again, and fixing things. You're going in, you're putting in nutrition, protein, carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is your fuel to keep you from robbing your protein, which are the building blocks of your muscle. Protein goes in, the carbohydrate used for energy. You have enough protein to go rebuild the muscle, which is a concept. Proteins are all amino acids bounded together. They go in and they repair those tissues and make them stronger. So constantly breaking stuff down and constantly rebuilding it is what's making you strong. So your biggest component is, first of all, core stability, proper form of exercise, always proper form, because as the weight gets heavier, your form breaks down, and backing it up with proper nutrition.
And nutrition, again, you're coming back to that's
80%.
Yeah, you're seeing that as the big part of it.
You can't go down the road if you have no rubber on your tires. The engine won't turn over. There's no gas in the tank. You know, it seizes up if you don't put oil in it.
Yeah, and it's getting
body
the proper
is a machine.
nutrition.
Proper nutrition.
The proper nutrition.
A balance.
Yeah. Back to the idea of mental part of this. Do you see fitness to be more mental than physical? I mean, obviously you got to do the work.
Yes. I mean, if you were to put percentage, if you had percentages going, and like I just said, 80% of what happens to your body is nutrition. If you took those three factors, the working out, the nutrition, and the mental approach, the food becomes a smaller component.
Okay.
Because then it'd be more like, 5 in the gym, 15 nutrition, and the rest of it would be mental. Because what gets you to the gym is the thought process and the need to get in better shape. And the bigger that need is, the more you want to do it. And there's two mental aspects to it. There's the mental part of you wanting to do too much, which is just as dangerous as you doing too little. Over-exercise creates damage. Too little exercise creates no results. But the need for that has to be balanced. Like the concept is this. There's two phrases that I use. I didn't create them. I just kind of stole them. It's like, pigs are greedy and hogs get slaughtered. I mean, if you think about it, you can want it so much. All right, you get to that point, but if you go too far, then it's just going to create more damage. The ability to get to a point and then stop. So you did 299 pounds. Like, often, I think I've done it with you too. We're in there pressing, and I said 15 reps, and you get to 12, and I said, okay, stop. All right, because I noticed your form was breaking down. Okay, and you start squirming and wiggling, try to force it up.
That's where the injury comes in.
So the brain has to go like, and the other phrase I use, once you come in the gym, leave your ego at the door. You're here to look good, get better, stronger, but being greedy is an ego thing. Because another guy your size came in the same time with you, maybe your friend is doing 100 pounds more, doesn't mean you should. You could probably get just as much result in the longer term than the guy that's speeding ahead of you.
Gotcha.
It's like, guy blows by me, I meet him at the light. He blows by me again, I meet him at the next light. That's steady progress down the road. All right,
and these two questions, they connect, I believe. We, from the day we're recording this, we're looking toward the end of the year here.
Right.
And invariably, I've already mentioned this, people have New Year's resolutions.
Right. Which always surprises me.
Yeah, and it's always interesting. We've seen it in the gym. I'm sure you see this in gyms around the country, probably around the world. On New Year's, on the 1st of January, the 2nd of January, the gym is packed with people we haven't seen. 3 weeks later.
Or they were there last year, and you didn't see them until the next year.
That's right, yeah. We haven't seen them in about 48, 49 weeks. So what would you say would be 3 things for the new trainee to do? I'm assuming when they go in on the New Year's resolution, at least they're telling themselves, the story they're telling themselves is, I want to look better, be stronger, be fitter. And then they lose the motivation.
Right.
So as the trainer, can you put it into like, okay, listen, before we even start this, here are the 3 things I'm going to ask you to commit to. Mm-hmm. What would you say? I mean, one's nutrition, I'm assuming.
Right.
But.
Well, I don't try to pin them down, because pinning people down never works for me. I give them like loose goals. Like whenever I set up a nutrition program, it's normally set up so knowing that they will cheat. It's 400 or 500 calories less than they should eat. So if they go over, I never panic. And they all, I'm still losing weight, right? Okay, I compensated for that, right? So that's the mindset. And that gets them needing more. And then I tell them, okay, we're going to start with 1,500 calories, but somewhere down the road, 3 months from now, you're going to have an appetite. And so I could eat more. And then by that time, they've lost some body weight, and their body fat is lower, and their lean muscle mass has gone up. Therefore, I can tell them, now you require more calories. Okay. And then I sneak it up 100 pounds at a time, and I go, oh, I'm eating 2,000 calories now. Oh, my God, I could never eat this, but I'm still hungry, and I'm losing weight. Oh, my God, right? We're like, duh. That's what your body was burning all along, but now that you're exercising, you're burning 2,500 calories.
Right.
Okay, that's one step. The other thing, I have them commit to at least do my diet, and I don't beat them up when they fall off the wagon. I just convince them to get back on. I developed the concept of, okay, if you fall off the wagon, it's better to get back on than to stay off, because that just doesn't work. It's a form of discipline, too. If you fall off, you jump back on. If you fall off, you jump back on. Pretty soon you stay on, down the road.
Or that becomes your discipline.
Yeah, you fall off, you stay on a little bit longer, you fall off, you stay on a little bit longer, and then it kind of stretches out, right? The second thing on the New Year's resolution is, okay, don't have a finite, absolute, must-do by date. That's a stressor. Because what invariably happens is you end up eating less calorie, you watch the scale, and nothing's more detrimental to any weight loss program than a scale. If you take a picture at the beginning, take another picture, set them next to each other, it's so much better than stepping on the scale, because your weight will go up if you have more muscle. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be bigger. Right? So there's that concept, that right part there. So I have a couple goals. Okay, by a realistic goal, someone says, I want to be better. Okay, so well, like, how long have you been overweight or out of shape? My whole life. Okay, so let's take a year. Is that long? No, it's not long. Let's take a year. If I told you you can put on 12 pounds of muscle in a year and lose 12 pounds of fat, and right now I tell you you're 25 pounds of fat overweight. If you do that trade out, you've actually lost 36 pounds. Because if you gain 12 pounds of muscle and you lost 12 pounds of fat, you actually lost 24 pounds of fat. Plus, every pound of muscle you put on is 5 more calories being burnt.
So muscle burns
50 more calories. If you put on a pound of muscle, it burns 50 more calories a day.
So more muscle burns more calories.
That's your machine.
Because you're feeding it.
That's your machine. If you put on more muscle, your body consumes more calories. The more muscle you have, you consume more calories. Why is that big guy so lean when I see him eating a burger here, a burger there? Okay, even though he's putting that in, he's still within his calorie region. But his body is churning out more calories than yours is.
And this is beyond where we are today in this particular podcast. But when you were talking, I think I heard you say this one time. Do you have calories and there are clean calories? Are there not clean calories? And I don't know if they call them dirty calories. But
well, you have good calories, you have bad calories. For instance, like I have this trouble with my client. I say, well, you're not supposed. Don't eat this much sugar. Have this much sugar in your diet. Well, if you're 200 pounds, you can get away with 100 grams of sugar in your diet. Or you can get away with none, which is because you really don't need it, simple sugar. But when they go read the box, they look at total carbohydrate, and they think all carbohydrates is bad. No. There's carbohydrate right below it, and there's an amount of carbohydrate of that carbohydrate that is sugar. So 50 grams of carbohydrate, 20 grams of sugar. You subtract the sugar from the carbohydrate. That's how much good carbohydrate you have. But if you have 50 and 20, that's not a good ratio. It should be like, 50 and 10 or 50 and 5 or, like that. So, but there are differences. And orange with the pulp is good. Orange juice is basically non-carbonated soda with some vitamin C in it. You know, that's what people don't get. Sugar is sugar. The reason fruits are good is because they come with fiber. Take the fiber out, and you're just drinking sugar water.
And that's part of the education.
Yes.
A trainer, a certified trainer, a knowledgeable trainer can
but
help.
some trainers are afraid to educate their clients because they're scared, okay, if I give them too much information, they won't need me. I found that the more information you give a client, the more they come back because they trust you, they're confident. I have clients calling me up that I haven't seen. Hey, what do you think about this food? Or I'm going to do a protein shake. Is it okay?
Charles, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you for more information, how can they do that?
Well, they can get to me through North Beach Athletic Club or North Beach Club and Spa.
Right.
That's in Neptune Beach, Florida.
Right.
The number is 904-247-5552.
Okay.
And just ask for Charles Bailey.
Just ask for Charles. Okay, got it. All right, so let's. We're getting closer to the end of this, and it's always educational. More personal. Before we wrap things up here, as a trainer, do you have a particular significant accomplishment that you're most proud of over those, nearly 3 decades working with people? Is there anything specific that jumps out at you?
Two, but one more specific. I had a client. He was like, we got really close. And when I met him, he was like 100. No, he was 200 and I want to say 45 pounds. 45 pounds. And he was he was a doctor, typical desk, study, work kind of guy. And his posture was like pushed forward, shoulders rounded. He actually had a hump on the back of his neck. All right. And looking at him, you go like, okay, that's a structural thing, right? Okay, we got to working out, but invariably what happened was I got him down to 188 pounds, looking great. But every time he got to 188 pounds, he'd bounce right back up 208. Second time, 188, and bounce right back up to it. He went on like this eating binge. And we're talking about discipline here. And he was very disciplined on his diet, but every time he got to that point, he'll bounce up. And on the third time, I mentioned to him, I said, do you know every time you get to 188 pounds, for some reason you bounced up to 208? He goes, he never did it again. He was just unconsciously not aware of that. Something subconsciously was, he'd get to that weight, and then he'd go on a binge. He'd get to that weight, he'd go on a binge. He'd get to that weight, he'd go on a binge. But back to the posture thing. By the time he got to 188, all that disappeared. Structure was straight, the spine was straight, the hump in his back was gone. It was just like an amazing thing. That happened to me twice. That's why I said 2 times.
Right.
I had this kid that did a lot of role-playing games from the time he was little, and he couldn't straighten up. You're
talking about like these games, like I don't know what you would call them.
Yeah,
okay.
Halo. His shoulders was around his back, posture was bad. It got to the point where he couldn't put his heels on the ground when he stood up to do squats. Basically walked on his toes.
Oh, wow.
It was 6 months to straighten him up.
And you did?
Yeah.
And he did too.
Over the years, he deteriorated all those back muscles he just wasn't using. He had great finger muscles, but no back muscles.
Okay. You've mentioned a lot of things, so if we just went down and you're leaving the listeners with, okay, you want a better fitness level.
Yeah.
You want something that's sustainable.
Right.
You would mention, find whatever your strategies are, but ease of use.
Right. Find something that you like to stay with. I mean, it has to work the whole entire body. I don't care what it is. It could be, like jump squat, squat thrust, stuff like that. Running, not so much. Because it pounds. People love it because it's easy to do, but it doesn't actually build any muscle. It's more of a breakdown than an enhance. The only thing that your heart benefits from that is your heart, which is important. I'm not neglecting that.
Right.
But it's ease of use. Be consistent.
Be consistent.
Be consistent. That's the most important thing to stay in shape.
Okay.
Being consistent. Gradually ease into your diet. Make better choices, refine. For instance, if you're eating 2,000 calories right now and you're not losing weight but you're overweight, start cleaning up that 2,000 calories. Instead of frying the pork chop, bake it, grill it, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just do better form of making that same food, And like we talked about, be more, the mental approach of it is don't beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon.
That's powerful.
Always jump back home.
Yes, yeah. And it's being mindful.
It's the only way we tend horses, man.
Yeah, and it's being mindful of your own body, and
right.
that sometimes that's making sure that you've had your regular checkups, so that, a doctor is aware of what's happening to you, and then you got a trainer, so you've got all these different.
That's
people.
The point. That's the center core right there. How do you walk around in something you were born with and not know anything about it, or even be aware of what affects it? Mm-hmm. And the concept is, it always amazes me that everyone walks around with a smartphone. And the questions they have no answers to. Like, for instance, I probably won't do this in a podcast, but I was explaining that to one of my clients. They go, like, I said, you have a smartphone, but you go to McDonald's and you say you don't know what to eat. I said, just Google it. She goes, well, they have that on there? I said, well, let me just do this. Right now, I said, Google, how do you put on a condom? The voice comes on and tells you exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. She starts cracking up. I said, that's how much information's out there. I mean, I pride myself in knowing a lot, but when I get stumped, I put it in the phone, and it kicks right back, and it gives you choices.
Yeah.
The smart thing is, though, when you get all those choices, read them all. Don't take the first one, because there are some kooks out there putting out bad info.
Well, that's the whole idea of information literacy,
right.
Knowing how to do the evaluation.
Well, if you read 4 things and they're saying the same thing, is probably true.
Okay.
That one different one is probably some guy just throwing it out there trying to get some publicity.
Just watch out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be mindful. Be mindful.
One prime example. I'm leave it a last note. I was watching a celebrity show, and it happened to be a Steve Harvey show, and radio. Listening to it, basically, and they were talking about this guy who came out with a book, and he was saying, there's hidden sugars in everything, and this is my idea of the level of ignorance is out there. He said, well, there are hidden sugars in oatmeal. I'm scratching my head, and I'm going like, well, I've been doing this forever. I know there's no sugar in oatmeal, right? And they're going like, oh, I never knew that. And he's going like, yeah, there's tons of sugar in oatmeal, right? And then you get delved further in it, and the guy goes, well, there's the granola people put in it, and the raisins, and the maple syrup. I said, none of that's in oatmeal. That's what you put in it after you cook it, right? But they were agreeing with the guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure there's millions of people that listen to that show that go like, oh, my God, I'm not eating oatmeal anymore.
Yeah. And that's a great point. That is an excellent point. I'm going to finish with something you didn't even know I was going to go to. A little fun lightning round. I got 3 questions.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Has nothing really even to do with fitness, but it might.
It might, right?
Okay, but this for fun. If you were a box of cereal, what would you be?
Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran. Mm-hmm. If you're a weather forecast, generally speaking, what
Tornado.
would you be?
Unpredictable. A big one.
A big one, yeah. And finally, an evening news headline.
Charles Bailey won the lotto.
Ooh. Any special amount, Charles?
As long as it was over $8 million.
Okay. All right, folks, you've gotten a lot of great information from Charles today. And Charles, we do appreciate you stopping
My
by.
pleasure.
This is a lot of fun, and I look forward to working with you in the gym, continuing to. And folks, visit my website, stevepiscatelli.com, for more information about upcoming conversations on the GRN and about programs and other resources for your personal growth and resilience. And at the website, you can sign up for my email and newsletter list, and I promise to never spam you. So, and once again, Charles, if they want to get in touch with you, North Beach Athletic Club,
yes.
And it might also be known as, because there was a name
North
change.
Beach Club and Spa.
Okay, in Neptune Beach, Florida.
Right.
And Charles Bailey. All right, so until we meet again, folks, either virtually or somewhere in person around this great nation, this is Steve Piscatelli from my world headquarters here in Atlantic Beach, Florida, reminding all of us to choose well, live well, and be well. Bye-bye, folks.